Alright, hello everyone. Here we're back for a golf clash tutorial here, Santa Ventura, hole number 4 here. And what my priority for this one will usually be is a sniper shot. That's what I like to play on this, and you're really not going to need a very good sniper. In terms of this shot, I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7, but we'll put 7. You do need a little bit of backspin on this, but it's very, very little. For a second shot, let's go ahead and we will put hammerhead as the next priority, maybe around a 4. Actually, that's not right. We just need a level 2 for this one. You really don't need a lot of backspin, just a little bit for this hole. Next, the next alternative would be Guardian. And just basically have to have this unlocked, similarly with Cataclysm. There's only pretty much one way that I play this hole. But maybe I'll talk about 2 different methods. But there's really only one way that I do this one. So the shot that I'll typically use is going to be right here, towards this front, a little bit towards the left. The hardest part about the shot is wind effect. So many times that you see guys wind up right or left of the hole, they're just not factoring in enough wind play. And the wind effect will cause the ball to deflect quite significantly. But the overall goal is to just kind of hop this on and just kind of stumble it along towards the hole. It's very consistent, very easy to do. Alternatively, the only other shot that I really like is this left. And you can kind of see where I'm bouncing it. Similarly, wind effect is going to be very important no matter how you choose to play this hole. Wind effect is going to be crucial to the success or failure of you being able to complete this hole. It's going to be the guy who considers wind effect the best because you're landing on an upslope, which means that a lot of the rollout is going to be, a little bit less, and you'll have to anticipate that wind effect very good because it's very hard to control it any other way. So let's talk a little bit about how much spin that I like to use, and we're going to be talking about this middle shot right here. Go in the middle. This is my most common way to play it, and what I'll usually use is somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 2.5-ish for the backspin. Now, towards a headwind, I might need to use 2, and I might need to use 3 towards a tailwind. So somewhere around here is going to be kind of what it looks like for when you do this shot. And keep in mind that, as I mentioned, the most important component is going to be wind effect. So you're going to have to do the proper amount of offset, and you'll try to keep it as consistent as you can with your land zone, and just be able to try to, hit very consistently on that land zone that you choose time and time again is going to be the big key there. So let's talk about the side wind in terms of how much I'll adjust. And I'll usually go maybe max minus 10%, for example. Actually, maybe minus 15% for a side wind. You're very close to min number. So one of the times that I'll kind of start to deviate from the shot is when I get the tailwind. So you probably see that I won't even use it. I won't even give you the shot. Speaking of which, this might actually be a little bit closer to minus 20, 15 to 20, somewhere in there. Minus 15 to 20 for the side wind. For the tailwind, there's really not going to be a case at all. So there's nothing I can really even suggest. That's when I basically deviate from this shot altogether. So no shot for that. For the headwind, we're probably going to change our adjustment, and I'll usually go max minus 10%, so which is very close to mid number. So we'll be very close to a mid adjustment in a headwind situation. And with the tailwind, we're probably going to jump over and we'll start to talk about this left case. So let me change pens here because the amount of wind that I play is a little bit different. So for the side wind case, I might use maybe max plus, it's pretty much max, but maybe max plus 5. Max minus 5, I mean. Sorry. Maybe around max minus 5%. For the tailwind situation, it should be very, very similar in this situation, where I use close to about a max minus 5%. And the biggest component is going to be anticipating that wind effect. So, I'll need to put the end of my ball guide towards the front of the hole like this, because once the wind actually plays, it's going to kind of change pitch, and it's going to pitch forward in a tailwind, for example. So that's typically how you'll see me do that. And for the headwind situation, I'll probably play it very close to max, or maybe even max plus 5%, depending on how big it gets. So for max minus 5, so almost towards max, in between mid and max for the side and tailwind. But then for the headwind, we're going to go at least max, maybe even max plus 5%, depending on how big the wind gets. And you'll see kind of these two different ways to play it. And as I mentioned, you'll just have to be thinking wind effect is going to be the primary number one best tool that you'll be able to use to have success on this. So, the winner is going to be the guy who definitely is considering wind effect and plays the best, altered shot of the ball guide time and time again. So good luck with this hole, and see you guys on the next guide.